3.7 Absolute values of equations and inequalities. Absolute value just basically means that you're taking the distance from the origin, in this case 0. So to solve the problem, there's three things we're going to have to do. First, you have to get the absolute value by itself. Next, then you have to write a positive value and a negative value, so split the equation up into both the positive and negative direction, and then you have to solve each equation separately. So what we have then are, what are the solutions of the absolute value of t minus 7 is equal to 8? The first step is already solved for us, where we got the absolute value on one side of the equation. So we break this up into a negative and a positive side. So we have t minus 7, which is then negative. So notice I replaced the absolute value with parentheses, put a negative out front. And then on the other side we have the positive, so I replace the absolute value with the parentheses, and I don't have to worry writing plus out in front. So these are the two equations we get. So solve each one. First I divide by negative on both sides, and then that gives me t minus 7 is equal to negative 8. This is where the book will show you to start. And then you have plus 7 and both sides, and we get t is equal to negative 1. For the positive side, we didn't have to move the negative over or anything, so we have t minus 7 is equal to 8. We just drop the parentheses. We then add 7 to both sides, and this gives us t is equal to 15. So to ensure that this actually works, we want to plug that negative 1 back into the problem, and we get the absolute value of negative 1 minus 7 is the absolute value of negative 8, which is 8, so that one is correct. And checking the other one, we have the absolute value of 15 minus 7, which is the absolute value of 8, which is equal to 8, so that one is correct as well. So absolute value inequalities, we'll go over them in much more detail in class, but basically the inequality of the absolute value of a is less than 5 is the same thing as saying a has to be greater than negative 5 and a has to be less than 5. So it's towards, it has to stay between. So when we sketch the graph, we're going to have it has to stay less than 5 units from the origin. And then you have the inequality of the absolute value is greater than 5 is the same as a is less than negative 5, or a is greater than 5. And notice this is going to go away, so that means it must stay at least 5 units away from 0, so it has to go away from the center.